Step into the spotlight.
Hey guys, what's going on? Underground Geek here. So I wanted to do a video on this. I know I'm kind of late to the party, but who cares? I do what I want. The thing is, there's been a lot of, more negative stuff being talked about here lately, so I thought it'd be good to talk about something good, and kind of go over my thoughts on the movie Thor Ragnarok. Now, if you hadn't already seen the movie, you might as well go ahead and click off of this video, because there will be spoilers. But I do want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, I did like the movie. I liked the movie. There was a lot of humor, but at the same time, there was just enough action to keep you motivated in the movie. It was kind of like a good action comedy movie. Die Hard had a lot of comedy in it. People forget about that, but it did have a lot of comedy to go on with the action. Well, let's talk about a few things. A couple thoughts I had on it. First of all, Thor himself was a little bit too funny to me, but he did make me laugh. And another thought that I had was, to me, he looks bigger and smaller at the same time that he did in the other movies. There's some scenes that he looks huge in, some that he looks leaner, but all in all, he looks bigger than he did in the other movies. Besides the first movie he was huge. But it seems like, the other movies that he may have been in a hurry to get in shape and didn't have enough time. But that's just me. But all in all, he did very good. I loved his fight scenes at the end of the movie. The whole spinning move with the lightning and stuff was very Street Fighter-ish. I love that. A lot more of the comic book. So let's talk about some other people here. And I also want to talk about, did you notice the chemistry between him and Valkyrie towards the end of the movie? She kind of has a thing for Hulk a little bit, more of his big brother kind of type deal. But she was kind of making some eye contact here and there with Thor a little bit, as, he may have brought the fight back into her heart, and at the same time, maybe a little bit of a love interest going on there. I don't know. Maybe keep an eye on that. But, so let's move on to Loki. Loki has pretty much become the comic relief. That's pretty much all he is. He's also eye candy for a lot of women. They like his smile. They like the fact that he's a bad guy. He has dark hair. And that kind of gives women both sides of the coin there. They get the good guy with the blonde hair, and they get the bad guy with the tall, dark hair. So there's a lot of women that love these movies. His costume was very cool. I couldn't tell if he gained any weight or anything, but he looked about the same. I will say, though, that the fight scene with him and Valkyrie kind of upset me a little bit because, no offense, but his magic and everything, he must not have been fighting her very seriously, because his magic and stuff, he could easily beat Valkyrie. There's no way. But moving on, Hulk was very cool. I liked they did good on the coloring. They did good on the costume. They did very good on his dialogue. He talked like you think because he'd been a Hulk for 2 years at this point, so he had aged 2 years. So pretty much he talked like a 2-year-old. All of his aspects of life was based on a 2-year-old, things like that. But I did feel like his power was a little bit nerfed. I didn't like the fact you showed him getting stronger, but you didn't really pinpoint him so much. That's his thing. He gets stronger. And I really wish they'd show that, because in the other Hulk movies, you kind of see him get pumped up a little bit. You see him get a little bit veinier, get a little bit bigger. And you notice that kind of stuff. Here, they didn't do it so much. So that was a little bit eh. Valkyrie herself, I love the actress playing the character. I didn't like the fact that she just came into it. She was almost like a Marvel Legacy character. She came into it automatically fixing everything, automatically being the best at everything. I didn't really like that so much. I did like the fact that they give her some flaws, like the fact that she was an alcoholic. But she did kind of come in the fight just beating up everybody, and I was like, okay, that's cool, but I mean, whatever. The backstory was a little bit cheap, because I noticed in the scene, you know, of course there's spoilers, but in the scene where she is fighting Hela with the rest of the Valkyries, it almost looks just like the character that they picked for the person that defends her. There's a person that jumps in the way and takes a sword in order for her to survive and get away. That looks just like the regular Valkyrie character. And I didn't like that because I feel like the fans were getting slapped in the face. It's kind of like they were saying, oh, well, she died. You see right there, she died. So that's why we have this Valkyrie. You know, Valkyrie's just a job. And I was like, oh, that was a little cheap. But that may have just been me. But it looked just like her. So anyway, moving on, Hela was great. Great costume, great acting, great abilities. I didn't really like the way that she talked because, okay, she had been trapped for like ever, okay? Thor didn't even know about her. So obviously she'd been trapped there for a long time. She would not talk the same as everybody else. She would talk like an Asgardian would. You know, Thor also got on my nerves because he talked a little bit too pop culture for me. They should have did this breakdown of when he's talking to certain people, you know, he kind of speaks more of an Asgardian way, and then, you know, later on when he's feeling more comfortable, he kind of lets go and talks more like nowadays people would. You know, it's kind of get on my nerves because if you watch the first Avengers and you watch the first Thor, the dialogue's completely different. And they didn't really address that. They just kind of said, oh, this is the way he talks now. And I was like, yeah, it's funny, but it's a little campy sometimes. Odin made a cameo. That's pretty much all he did. The time that Loki was disguised as Odin was his biggest part of the whole movie. You could have just not even had him in the movie, I think, but that's just me. The Warriors 3, they got shafted. There were some of my favorite characters from the other Thor movie. In this movie, they just all get killed off without even really putting up that much of a fight. The little Asian dude's the one that put up the most fight of all of them. And I was kind of upset about that because it was kind of a cheap way to get rid of the characters. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of sealed the finality for me as far as what was going to happen to Asgard. Because once you kill off main characters like that, you know the time is ending. You know that it's getting to a close at that point. But I didn't really like that. Now, here's the thing. They said Lady Sif was in the movie, but I don't even remember seeing her. Lady Sif was one of my favorite characters in the past Thor movies, and I don't even remember her in this movie. And I kind of hate that because she's a big-time character, and I feel like that kind of cheapened it a little bit. But that's just me. Maybe she was filming that TV show but with the girl with the tattoos, you know, and it kind of had a little bit of a conflict between production. That may have been, I don't know. I just feel like it was a cheap way to get rid of her. All in all, though, I did like the movie. Let's see some other characters. Oh, Korg. I did like Korg, and I did like the little caterpillar guy. The caterpillar guy was one of my favorite ones. He didn't really even talk, but he kept just randomly showing up after the danger was already gone, and he was like swinging his little knife hands everywhere, you know, and like he was really going to do something. I was like, oh, that is hilarious, because it was like those little two sidekicks that always show up after the day is won, and they're like, oh, we were going to help, you know, but this thing happened. And Korg was funny. I know he was completely different than the regular character, so that kind of made me sad a little bit, but they did do it well. And the director did the voicing, which kind of goes to show you why the movie was so campy at some points. That is him. That's his personality. He walks around in a Hawaiian t-shirt. I mean, that's just him. So it was very funny, though, because there was this one part where Korg looks at Loki. Loki's on the ground, and he goes, hey, man, we're going to go get on this big ship and get off the planet. Want to come? And I was like, that's hilarious. I did like the way that Loki and Thor kidded amongst each other. It was very brotherly. And I do like the fact that Thor now acknowledges that Loki's just not going to change. He understands Loki now. Loki's not going to get the better of him. He knows that he's going to double-cross him at every turn, and he's always going to be looking for it. But it's okay because he loves him. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the movie. The only thing that does upset me about this movie is what this movie represents. And I talked about this in the live chat, but I don't know if they really understood what I was talking about because there was this awkward silence afterwards. But this pretty much to me represents the disconnect between Marvel movies and Marvel comics from the classic days of Marvel comics. This was a cash machine. You know, this is why they did this movie, was of course to make money, obviously. It didn't really show, you know, it kind of picked and chose between storylines of different comic book stories to make their own movie. which is okay because a director is a storyteller and he needs to tell his own story. But at the same time, it shows you the pandering that they do to money making opposed to telling an accurate comic book story. That's why you need to take these movies at face value. People don't need to get upset. They just need to watch the movies. If they like them, like them. If they don't like them, then read the comic books, because and I'm not saying it. I'm not trying to be one of those SJWs that says if you don't like it, don't watch it. Just take it at face value. If it sucks, it sucks. Tell them it sucks. If it's good, it's good. But don't go to these movies looking for accurate Marvel movies, because as we know at this point, that's just not what it's going to be. You know, they're going to tell their own stories. It's going to be a lot of humor, and that's just the way it is. Just like I'm watching the Justice League trailer right now. It's not really anything like the regular Justice League. That's just the director doing his thing and the studio doing their thing to make money. That's all it is. But all in all, I liked the movie. I'll probably give it an 8.5 out of 10. It was probably one of my favorites of the franchise so far. That, Avengers, Captain America 2, you know, those are my top. But all right, guys, tell me you guys what you think about my video. Tell me what you think about the movie. Tell me if you hadn't seen the movie already and if I've ruined it for you. All right, well, I'll talk to you guys later. Underground Geek out.
I could have got